Today we're making cutting boards that you can make and sell for profit. I've written 3 books. Today we are going to do a project from Make Your Own Cutting Boards. This book has 15 different projects in there, and today we are going to make this breadboard and cutting board. Throughout this video, I'll be giving tips on starting your own cutting board business. To get started, we went over to KenCraft to pick up some 8/4 walnut and maple. I only needed 1 foot of walnut and 3 feet of the maple. KenCraft is my local hardwood dealer here in Toledo, but they do sell online. Check them out. Family-run business, good people. In the book, I am using hickory, but today we are going to use hard maple. I also explain in the book on what woods you should use and what woods you should avoid for cutting boards. Step 1 says I need to cut this board to 18 inches long and then glue it up so we have at least 12 inches wide. So, over to the miter saw we go. So now we are gluing these up. I'm using Titebond 3 because it is waterproof and this is going to be a cutting board. And then 1 more clamp across the top and we will let that sit and dry for about an hour. So now that the glue is dry, I'm going to run my piece of walnuts and the maple through the planer at the same time so we get an even thickness. We ran the maple and the walnut through the thickness planer to about 1.5 inches thick, which is a little thicker than what's in the book, but thickness doesn't matter in this case. So I'm gonna set the walnut aside and then mill the maple to 17 inches long by 12.5 inches wide. I have my blade set to about 1/3 of the height. I have a stop here on my sled 1 inches in, and I'm going to nibble away, flip the board over, do the same thing to create a tenon. Then I'm going to flip the board around this way and do the same thing on the other side. Because I didn't follow my own directions in the book, my tenon is a little too long. I measured 1 inch from the wrong side of the blade. Is what it is, we're just gonna go with the flow. That means the other piece, I'll just have to adjust the other piece. I do this all the time. I sabotage my own project. I'm gonna set the height of my blade to the height of that tenon right there. Now I'm gonna hog out my walnut here by starting in the middle, run it through, flip it over, run it through again, nudge the fence over, and I'll keep doing that until I get a nice tight fit. And I'm gonna do this on both sides of the walnut, and then just split this down the middle for my 2 breadboard ends. I should mention that any projects from my books or my plans, I highly encourage you to make and sell either online or at craft shows. This is an expensive hobby, so anything that you can do to cut down cost or even make profit, I highly encourage. There is a lot of potential money to be made in cutting boards. Devo's Woodcraft and Jenny and Davis are killing it in the cutting board game. Izzy Swan is selling templates for cutting boards, and if you look on Etsy, there are just tons and tons. People are making lots of money around cutting boards, and some people's businesses are based solely on cutting boards. Use my book, use Izzy's templates, or make up your own designs and see if you can make some money selling cutting boards, either at craft shows or online. We're over here at the drill press. I don't have anything glued up yet. This is just temporarily clamped together, and we're going to drill all the way through for the pins that we're going to install in a later step. Because the middle piece, the grain is going this way, and on the breadboard ends, the grain is going this way. We need to allow for expansion and contraction. So these 4 outside holes here, I'm gonna take a drill and just enlarge them a little bit. And then when we go to glue this up, we're only gonna put glue in the middle sections here. And then the pins that we put in the 6 holes will hold everything nice and tight. Even though there won't be glue on the ends, those pins will hold everything nice and tight, and it'll look good and allow for expansion and contraction. I drilled the holes and I cut all the pegs, but I just have the crappy ones from the home center, which are always undersized and just falls right in there. I'm just gonna use what I have. So I'm re-drilling all the holes to a 1/2 inch because I know I have good 1/2 inch dowels. Home center dowels are just crap. They're all undersized. So we're just putting glue in the middle sections here. Had to drill those holes a little bit bigger, but we're just going with the flow. It's all good. Just on the middle sections, so the outside can expand and those pins will hold everything in place. You know, I was thinking, if you were to make cutting boards, you're gonna need a website. That website might as well be Squarespace, right? My site, makesomething.com, is a Squarespace site. I can sell physical and digital items on my website. You could do the same. You make a bunch of cutting boards, you throw it up on your Squarespace site, nice and easy. Maybe you want to sell templates or files or digital downloads. You can do that with Squarespace. The great thing about Squarespace is they've got tools to import all your social media feeds so everything is in one central place. You can have a nice contact form for your customers to get a hold of you. Custom orders, you could do that if you wanted to. I personally have been using Squarespace for years. Way before I was doing the YouTube thing full time, way before they were a sponsor. I used to make websites, so I know what it takes. And thank goodness I don't have to do that anymore. And I can concentrate on being creative and doing the fun stuff and not messing with code, the cloud, all that back end. I can put these into place. That's got a good fit. That's a much better fit. So visit squarespace.com, and when you're ready to launch, visit squarespace.com/makesomething for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you, Squarespace, for sponsoring today's video. Thank you, Squarespace, for helping future cutting board makers and sellers set up their own websites. I'm okay with the bigger dowels. Little bit off track from the book, but it is what I had, and this looks good. No glue on these outside dowels. They're just holding everything together, allowing that expansion and contraction. If you're gonna make a big kitchen table, this is exactly how you would do that. Watch, see how there's a little gap right there? Watch how this pin pulls those boards together. That is incredibly satisfying. That is a really good fit. Now I'm gonna put a 45 chamfer on the bottom of this. My miter gauge doesn't come back far enough, so if I put it in backwards, I can then run the board this way through there. Here's a fun fact. This cutting board on the cover of the book, I gave this to my mom. She has never used it. She's had it for like 4 years and has never used it. So a hot tip, if you make my mom a cutting board, put some marks on there. Get it all used up before you give it to her. If I were starting a cutting board business, I would consider this a mid-level cutting board. You definitely want a base level, something you can batch out quickly and always have in stock. And then some of the more complicated ones, the end grain ones, they can be your high-end cutting boards. So you can have a variety, but you always have your base that you can quickly batch out and you'll always have in stock. In the book, we go over finishes and melting wax on there. This is just butcher block cutting oil from Kencraft, same place we got this beautiful wood. Watch this maple and walnut pop. Whatever feet you decide to use, make sure they have stainless steel screws in there because you don't want that rusting. Again, take my designs, make them, and sell them. I've got a whole playlist of cutting board videos right here. Thank you for watching. As always, be safe, have fun, stay passionate, and make something.